Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you're all good and enjoying your days at home. Today, we are going to discuss the X-bar theory of phrase structure. I hope that you can recall that I told you that this theory is actually a submodule of the major theory of principles and parameters. I told you that Chomsky's theory of universal grammar is based upon principles and parameters theory majorly, and under that principles and parameters theory, there are some submodules. We have already discussed a few of the modules, for example, theta theory, government theory, binding theory, like that. Today we are going to discuss the X-bar theory of phrase structure. As the name itself shows that it relates to the analysis of phrase structure. It pertains to how phrases are structured, and we will, as we move on, you will see that this theory also has a connection with his parameter theory, that is head parameter, and his principle of structure dependency, which states that sentences are structured in the form of phrases. Both of his parameters and principles, they are being very much evident in his theory of X-bar of phrase structure. To start with, I would just tell you that this theory actually relates to immediate constituent analysis. Constituent analysis, means that constituents, when we are going to see the constituents, constituents of a particular whole, the same the same we can apply to this theory, that we are going to analyze the constituents of a phrase. So this theory is actually based upon immediate constituent analysis. It rather initiates and starts with immediate constituent analysis. How does it show immediate constituent analysis, and how does it relate to constituent analysis? You will see as we move on with this lecture. I would like you to read the last two lines of the page given here. Phrase structure is a way of capturing the structural relationships of the sentence through the concept consist of. So I told you constituents, so consist of. So the simple thing he wants to say is that phrase structure theory, whatever it is, it is just related to analyzing the constituents of some whole, the constituents of phrase, actually he wants to say. A phrase consists of one or more constituents, fine. A phrase A may consist of the constituents B and C, as seen in the following tree diagram. It is quite simple to you. A is a sentence which consists of two elements B and C. For example, A is a sentence, for example, and it consists of a noun phrase and a verb phrase, just for an example. Then these constituents may in turn be made up of others, say B consisting of D and E, C of F. So if we got a sentence A, and A is made up of a noun phrase and a verb phrase, so a noun phrase B, for example, is further having its constituents like modifiers D and the noun, that is E. And this, in the same way, C might be having only a single verb like F. So the phrase structure of the sentence is a hierarchy. Hierarchy, I think that you know well that hierarchy means a system having different levels, from up to down or down to up, whatever, but it is a kind of system having parts, and those parts joined together to make a further level, and those parts on the further level, the next level, they join to make up the very next level, like that. So it is a kind of hierarchy, just like we got alphabets, and then alphabets join to make morphemes, and morphemes join to make words, and words join to make sentences, and sentences join to make paragraphs, like that. So this the same way, the sentences are also a hierarchy. The phrase structure in sentences actually is termed as a hierarchy by the writer of this book, with each constituent successively consisting of other constituents until only non-expandable items are left, right? So if we talk about the definition uh, of a phoneme, you can understand well that if there is a phoneme, and phonemes join to make morphemes, and morphemes join to make words, in the same way, phoneme, the definition of a phoneme is the smallest unit of speech sound. So in the same way, phrase structures are also having some hierarchy, in which the most basic unit, the most basic level, that is non-expandable items. Means if we divide a sentence into noun phrases, verb phrases, and the other phrases whatever it's having, and then we just divide or analyze the noun phrase into its constituents, finally we got the words which are no more analyzable, which cannot be expanded, which cannot be divided into parts. So the consist of relationship can be expressed as rewrite rules. This is quite simple, as we just already discussed in the principle of structure dependency, that we can depict, denote, or demonstrate the phrase structures in the either in the form of tree diagram, or in the form of rewrite rule, or in the form of labeled bracketing. In the same way, he's going to tell us that we can have these relationships, these consist of relationships can be depicted in such forms. And what he says is that if you just see this level, that is a tree diagram given on the same page, which I've just referred to. In this tree diagram, the upper levels are dominant, and they are dominant upon the lower levels. So any one means item that is being dominated by some upper mean to say some upper element, the upper element will be called a dominant, and then the lower things, which are the uh, the items which are on the lower level, they are actually being dominated, and they if they are on the same level, they are called sisters. For example, B and C are the sisters because they are actually the items which are being dominated by the same item, that is A, and that A is above the level of this B and C. So B and C are sisters. Though A is also dominating the rest of the elements like D, E, and F, because it is above those levels, that is D, E, and F. But we won't see, in order to see the parenthood and the sisterhood of the items, we won't see those items which are not immediately dominated, which are a little on some little further level than the immediate one. For example, if A is dominating B and C, so it is immediately dominating B and C, because there is no intermediate level in between these two, the level A and the level of B and C. But A, if we say D and E, D and E, they are the sisters, but they are the sisters being dominated by B, immediately dominated by B. But D, E, and F cannot be the sisters, because F is coming from another branch, and the immediate parent of F is C. The immediate parent of F isn't A, but the immediate parents of D and E are the same, that is B. So D and E are the sisters, and but D, E, B, C, and F, they cannot be called sisters because they are not immediately dominated by A. So the same thing he is just going to tell us, that the relationship is just evident through the levels on which the items are present in phrase structures. Fine. Then he further adds up that if we are going to discuss something for the purpose of just we can say ease, if we are going to discuss some rule, some theory, whatever, and in that discussion there is some section of the phrase, some we can say item of the phrase which is not necessary to be discussed, the writer of this book, he would just draw a triangle for that, and that triangle will be a dotted line triangle, in order to just expose that we are not concerned with this particular structure, we are just concerned with whatever we are discussing, the rest of the structures. So for example, when there is no need to specify the internal structure of a phrase for the purposes of a particular discussion, that part of the tree is simplified into a triangle connecting the final elements, say G and H. A, we will be concerned with the structure of A, that A consists of B and C. B and C are the sisters, they are the sister constituents of A. But though B also further constitutes two other items, that is G and H, but we are not concerned with that. So he just means to say that wherever our discussion doesn't involve a particular part of the structure, that structure will be omitted in the form of dotted triangles. Next, X-part syntax is distinctive because it says that phrases must be endocentric. A phrase always contains at least a head as well as other possible constituents. This is the same we talked earlier about, that is the head parameter, that phrases are endocentric means that phrases themselves are having a structure inside. If we say that a sentence is structured as because it is divided into phrases, in the same way phrases themselves are structured, they are endocentric. The endocentric means they have their head inside themselves, so they are structured, they have some head, and there is an element which is called head, and the rest of the words or the items in that phrase besides head, they are called complements. Thus a noun phrase such as the bird contains a head bird. A verb phrase sees, the cat contains a head sees. An essential requirement of X-part syntax is that the head of the phrase belong to a particular category related to the type of phrase. So he just means to say that whatever type of phrase we have got, the head would be of the same lexical category from which the phrase has come. For verb phrase, the head would be verb. For adjective phrase, the head would be adjective. For prepositional phrase, the head would be preposition, and for noun phrases, the head would be noun. So you can see the arrow. Noun phrase contains a noun and some modifiers, and a verb contains a verb phrase consists of a verb and the other elements. The dots show that there could be something before the verb and there could be something after the verb. And to In X-part theory, we denote any type of phrase as XP. XP means any kind of phrase. It can either be a verb phrase, noun phrase, prepositional phrase, or adjective phrase. So in any XP phrase, there would be a head X, and there would be some constituents before and after that head. Then the structure of lexical phrases. So until now, I hope that you understand the concept that phrases are structured, and how they are structured. They are structured in a way that Some of the items are parents, and those parents have got sisters. Sisters are on the same level of analysis, and the sisters are on the same level of analysis. And to note, an important thing is that they should be immediately dominated by some common element. If they are not immediately dominated by the common parent, they are not called sisters. The next thing we discuss is that in phrases there are heads. In each and every phrase there is some head, and that head uh, also has some other constituents along with it, and they are called complements. And then we come towards the structure of lexical phrases. According to X-bar theory, how are lexical phrases structured? Lexical phrases are actually noun phrases, prepositional phrases, and they can be verb phrases, adjective phrases. They are the lexical phrases. For the four lexical phrases used in X-bar syntax are, the writer tells us that there are four types of lexical phrases we can find in X-bar syntax. They are verb phrase, noun phrase, adjective phrase, and prepositional phrase. You can see that in prepositional phrase, you can see the figure. Prepositional phrase, the first word is preposition, and then the rest one is noun phrase. From England. From England, from is the preposition, and the next level, the next constituent is noun phrase. In noun phrase, we have a category noun. Only a noun we have got, and that noun is England. So at the end we got just from and England, which cannot be divided further into its constituents. In the noun phrase, doctors from England, but if we just add up doctors from England, then it becomes a noun phrase, obviously, because doctors is a noun which is a head word, and the rest of the constituents is prepositional phrase from England. And in prepositional phrase, further we got preposition from, and then noun phrase, and a noun phrase, and in that noun phrase we got just a noun, that is England. So this is how we can say that there are no sisters, because we find no elements which are on the same level of analysis. This phrase doesn't have any sisters, because doctors is on on another level, and from is on another level, and England is on another level. In verb phrase, we got drink milk. So in verb phrase, there is a verb, the word drink, and then noun phrase. In noun phrase, we just got a noun, and that noun is milk. In adjective phrase, jealous of Peter. Jealous is the adjective, which is head, and then the other constituent is prepositional phrase, and that prepositional phrase is consists of an of P and preposition, and then noun phrase, and then that noun phrase consists only of a single word, that is Peter, noun. Next we see one on page 138. There is some longer example, the example of a verb phrase: the education minister will resign her post on Tuesday. Here the actual points come forward. This is the regular analysis, regular phrase structure analysis given to us, um, and that is the education minister will resign her post on Tuesday. If we just pick out the verb phrase resign her post on Tuesday, so resign is a verb. In resign her post on Tuesday, this verb phrase consists of three constituents. The first one is verb, that is resign. Her post is a noun phrase, and on Tuesday is a prepositional phrase. So resign verb phrase consists of only a verb, resign, and noun phrase, we are not going to analyze it further, her post, and we are not going to analyze prepositional phrase on Tuesday, because our discussion doesn't deal with such analysis. We are just focused upon how the other elements, that is her post and on Tuesday, related to the verb resign. So if we see this, we are not sure what kind of relation in through this structural analysis we cannot understand well to what extent are noun phrases and the verb phrase and the prepositional phrase related to verb. How strong is the relation of noun phrase with the verb resign, and how strong is the relation of prepositional phrase on Tuesday with this resign. Uh, for this, we have to add something, because you know very well that verb is actually, if we say resign, only resign, the education minister will resign. What will he or she resign? We don't know. Resign is here used as a transitive verb, which must be having some object with it. Her post has got a strong relation with verb resign, because without her post, the meaning of this verb resign will be just unclear, vague, and it would be just implicit. We won't be able to understand what what the sentence is talking about actually. But if we just omit on Tuesday, it won't matter a lot. It won't destroy the meaning, or it won't mar the meaning of the sentence. On Tuesday, that is prepositional phrase, it doesn't have such a strong relation. The extent of the relationship of prepositional phrase with the verb resign is not as strong as that of the noun phrase her post with verb, because noun phrase her post, it has a close connection, being the object of a transitive verb. In order to show this strength and intensity or extent of relationship, the theory of X bar will help us. How will it help us? Let's see on the coming page. That is, now you can see here the writer has given us the analysis of the same sentence, the same verb phrase, is somewhat differently by following the rules or the principles of X bar theory. If in it we see that verb phrase is divided into a verb, fine, and that verb is a whole. They have just connected the essential element, that is noun phrase, with the verb. They have connected it with the verb. They have given it as a separate branch. They have just kept this noun phrase her post with the verb as in sisterhood. uh, how did they do it? That first of all, they put a bar on verb. That verb phrase consists of a verb complement. So X bar, the verb bar, and they have separated the prepositional phrase. So if we just omit this prepositional phrase, our meaning will be complete. Verb is having a bar, and that bar verb is further having a verb, fine, resign, and a noun phrase, that is her pose. The actual purpose or the actual intention was to show the sisterhood of the noun phrase and the verb phrase, that they are connected. They are quite connected. Without no noun phrase, the verb won't do to give its meaning. Resign her post, having a sisterhood, and prepositional phrase on Tuesday has been separated in a different branch, fine. So what does the line say? Let's read. The prepositional phrase can now be detached from the head verb, and the close relationship between we and object noun phrase can be expressed through sisterhood in the we phrase, as well as accounting for that for the SOAT test. So the lexical categories are the basic symbols: noun, verb, adjective, and preposition. We know very well that whenever we got a head for some phrase, that head is denoted as N, V, A, and P. Now, an N in case of noun phrase, V in case of verb phrase, A in case of adjective phrase, and P in case of prepositional phrase. A different A different number of bars are assigned to the lexical category at each level of the phrase above the basic lexical category. So, above the basic lexical category, so what is the basic lexical category? That is verb. Fine. Noun, single, V single, N single, P single, A. adjective. So above this single level, however, how much or how many of the categories we can see, they would be denoted by a bar. So any v above the level of basic v, that will be put with a bar on it, single bar. And above that v bar, if we got another verb above that v bar, we will put v double bar. And still, if we got another level above that v double bar, we will just put v triple bar, like that. So it goes from down to upwards if we are supposed to put bars. And single v will right after the single I mean to say item, which will zero bar, we can say zero bar. We won't put zero, but actually we mean to say that this is a zero bar item, 0x bar item. So right after that zero bar item, we will have the actual word, the lexical word, which we are talking about. That is the actual word having alphabets inside it. So resign is the actual word, lexical category, and it is a verb, and that verb is further leveled up on v bar because it does contain another item in the sisterhood of v, and that is noun phrase. I hope that you can understand the things well. By convention, the top level category has two bars and categorical features as well. So the top category has two bars, and also it has some other category in with it. Because of that, the presence of that category, that is, it is because of the presence of a noun phrase, which is an essential part to this verb, we have to put a bar, a complement alongside. So each double bar phrase contains a single bar category head. Fine. And v double bar contains a v single bar. uh, an n double bar consists of uh, an n single bar, and so on. The principle can be expressed as x double bar is equal to some constituents before or after. It consists of x single bar, and x single bar further consists of simple x. The same way, v double bar consists of a v single bar, and v single bar further consists of v zero bar, or v silent. Fine. Then they give us an example of a woman played the flute. A woman played the flute. So here, sorry, missed page 141. Let's find where it is. Page 141. Yes, it's here. So x single bar, x complement. Fine. They say that x single bar will consist of a head x with its complements, and x single bar may consist of first complement and then head. So it depends upon the nature of the language. In some of the languages, we had discussed that some of the languages are head first languages, and some of the languages are head right languages. So for head first language, x will be first, and then it will be having its complements. And in head right languages, first complements will be there, and then there will be head x. So x means any kind of head, either preposition, verb, adjective, or noun. It depends upon the nature of the verb, from which category does it come. So played the flute, this is a verb phrase in which played is the verb and complement is later the flute. And then the noun phrase has a n head and a complement. So proof of his guilt. So in proof of his guilt is a complete noun phrase, and this noun phrase consists of a head first proof, and then of his guilt, a prepositional phrase which is actually a complement. With a stick, it is a prepositional phrase. With is a preposition which is first and then complement. Finally, the adjective phrase too can have an a head and a complement. A full of himself. So full is an adjective, and of himself is the complement. So this tells us, this rather proves the already postulated theory that English is the head first language, because in all of the phrases you can see all types of phrases heads are in the first and the complements are later. Then page number 142, let's go on to page number 142. So we can say that buy a book, verb, and then it is preceded by the complement. On the boat, afraid of dogs, claim that he is right. And then this was about English language, but in Japanese you can see that verb is last, and hono means book, that is a complement, and bought book, he bought a book. Fine. So verb is head last and the complement is head first. So it is in the beginning of the sentence, in the beginning of the phrase rather. Coming to page number 143, they've given the example, the other examples from Japanese language, and the same that they are going to tell us that actually the Japanese language is a head last or head right language. Heads and complements phrases contain here, this point is really very much important because a few of the students raised questions during our classes on-site sessions, that noun phrase, if we look at the noun phrases which are in the beginning of the sentence, the modifiers are head first and the noun is head last. So how can we say that now the principle of head first language also applies on noun phrases in English language? So here we can find answer to this question, that actually they when a noun phrase is serving in the place of a subject. Okay, so I was telling you that determiner, they are taking it as actually determiner. When a noun phrase is serving in the place of a subject only, that it is a simple subject or complete subject in a sentence, then they don't, Noam Chomsky is not going to take it as I mean to say, in the form of a head first or head last language. Whenever he talks about a noun phrase, actually compound noun phrase he wants to talk about when he refers to the head first or head last language. In the beginning of a sentence, whenever a noun phrase is coming in the beginning of a sentence and it is only associated, and it is only having in the place of subject rather, or in the place of object, wherever it is coming, if it is preceded with modifiers, then modifiers he is not going to take as complements, he is just going to take modifiers as specifiers. So specifiers, wherever we got some noun phrase in the place of a subject, in the place of an object, and a noun is preceded with its modifiers, determiners, whatever, he calls them specifiers. Instead of taking them as complements, he just takes them as specifiers. So he says that along with heads and complements, we also have got some words, the third main element, that is called determiner, and determiner, whatever that is called specifier. While complements belong alongside the x bar in the phrase, that is are sisters of x, specifiers belong alongside the x bar. So here the importance of x bar syntax or x bar theory comes in, that if we just look at the structure of phrases from the perspective of x bar, from the perspective of immediate constituent analysis, from the perspective of sisterhood or parenthood, then it is evident that the specifiers and the modifiers, they are actually on the level of x bar, they are not on the level of x. If they would be on the level of x, then we can say that they are the complements are on the level of x, but determiners, they are on the level of x bar, so we cannot call them as complements. The determiner d, for example, is a specifier in the noun phrase the book. The book, the structure of the book is therefore noun phrase consists of a determiner the and a noun complement, and that noun complement, noun bar, consists of a noun, and that noun is actually book. Fine. So this is how we can say that X-bar theory specifies the elements of the sentence in sisterhood, in close connection, in close relationship with one another. And it is only through this theory that we can understand the actual connection, the strength of the relationship, the differences in the extent of relationships among different elements of a sentence, because it categorizes hierarchy. Through hierarchy, it categorizes the strength of relationships, just like we ourselves have so many relations in our life, and we know that we got priorities. We got blood relations in the first place, and then the other next one, the next one, the next one, from mother's side we got so many relations, our uncle, maternal aunt, paternal uncle, paternal aunt, and the further their cousins, like that. So in the same way, uh, expert syntax is going to categorize the relationships, that what category of relationship does a phrase does the elements of a phrase have got. So the category or the levels of relationships are x bar and x double bar, x triple bar, like that. So x double bar uh, consists of x bar with a specifier, or it might be possible that x double bar has a specifier and then x. So again, we talk about the head first or head last languages. It will be dependent upon the nature of the language from where the phrase is coming. Next, 144, x phrase means any kind of phrase will be x double bar, and that x double bar will have a specifier and an x bar, and that x bar will consist of an x element, head, and a complement. So it is very much important and very clear. In these two trees you can see it is quite evident. First, he has given the formula in 32, and that formula he has shown the example also in at point number 34, example number 34. Noun phrase, determinal his, and n, fear of the dark. His fear of the dark. His is determiner, fear of the dark. So this is actual relationship. Fear of the dark is in actual relationship. So we can omit his. Without his, the meaning is complete. Fear of the dark, because fear of what? So this fear, it must contain the prepositional phrase. What kind of fear? So fear of the dark, prepositional phrase. So they are in sisterhood, determiner and a noun complement. They are in sisterhood, and then noun, fear, and prepositional phrase, they are also in sisterhood. So this is how we can say that analysis of X-bar theory, how does it make the relationships evident to us, the relationships of the items. The same way he gives us example of adjunct. So a noun complement or a noun bar consists of a noun bar and an adjunct, and a noun bar can also have a noun n and a complement. Fine. So adjunct usually comes after the along with the level of n bar, and complement usually occurs along with the level of n. Examples he will give us. The example is tree number 38. You can see n bar contains n bar and then adjunct. This is the formula he has given to us, and example is in the wait. Yes, example before he has given to us, that is the other is to expand it into a noun phrase. So the man who paid the bill wearing a stripy scarf of medium width with a gold tooth. So with a gold tooth, wearing a stripy scarf of medium build. So these are actually adjective phrases and adjuncts, you can see. So such kind of things usually come after the noun. Fine. So a woman played the flute. A woman played the flute. So this is a verb phrase. Played the flute. In verb phrase, a woman played the flute. Determiner a woman. Noun phrase, if this we got this sentence is going to be taken as a verb phrase. In this sentence there is a noun phrase and a verb complement, and noun phrase, determiner, and woman. So he has taken as a modifier, specifier. Is has been taken as a specifier. Play the flute, play verb, and that verb complement further consists of a noun. Played what? So there is a close connection between the verb and the noun phrase the flute, because play is dependent upon the flute. It must take, it is a transitive verb. It must have some means object with it. So the flute. So the has been taken as a determiner, and an n bar. So wherever np or vp are written, actually they are v double bar or n double bar. Fine. And the further level will have v bar. Next comes the structure of, so this was all about analysis of phrase structures with respect to X bar theory, and that was the analysis of lexical phrases. Now when we talk about the functional phrases, what are the functional morphemes? Functional morphemes are actually the grammatical category which shows some aspect of tense or plurality, whatever. So inflections and morphemes, plural morphemes, they are actually the functional morphemes. So in the same way, if any phrase consists of some inflectional or grammatical category, they are called functional phrases. And he is going to discuss the how to analyze functional phrases with respect to X bar. So a verb phrase will consist of a noun phrase. The child finds the toy. So finds, this verb contains an inflection s. So the child. So this inflection, how will it be treated? The child find the toy. So this is the actual analysis they have just given. How will we deal this inflection s? He is going to tell us. It will be discussed as below. Inflectional phrase has I complement, means I bar, and that I is inflection, that is tense, agreement, present singular. This is finds because the word was finds. So find means first form of the verb find, and then it has been connected with a s inflection, that is present indefinite inflection. That is why he has called it present singular. And further, sisterhood. In sisterhood, we find a verb phrase, find the joy. So inflectional phrase, overall this sentence will be taken as inflectional phrase having inflection bar I, tense, and then the same level sisterhood we find a verb phrase, and that verb phrase has further got a v complement, v bar. In sisterhood we get a noun phrase. So that noun phrase is the determiner and the noun, and find the twice. So this find, now this find, the s inflection has already been given in separate branch in the beginning, that it doesn't have a close connection with verb. We can find the meaning without it, but that meaning is being enhanced with this inflection, and that inflection has been given separately in the beginning. So this is how we will just separate the inflectional or grammatical category in a separate branch, and we will deal the rest of the sentence as per routine of X bar rules. Fine. So this is all about this. The same you can do with any kind of plurality also, agreement, tense, whatever, any kind of grammatical function you find, you will just analyze it like this. You will just separate the grammatical function in a separate branch, and then you can analyze the rest of the sentences as you already have been doing in X bar syntax. So this is all about the X bar theory. I hope you understand it very well. And if any questions, any kind of problem, you can ask me frankly. But what I am going to assign you is, you are supposed to write down a few sentences and 5 sentences each, and those sentences should be in the form of that they must contain inflectional categories, functional categories. You are supposed to analyze them. All of the sentences must contain some inflection, some functional categories, like they must have some aspect of tense, agreement, and plurality. Fine, plural, singular, plural, for example. So these aspects should be there. You are supposed to analyze 5 sentences, and all sentences must come from different grammatical categories, different and different lexical categories. A few of them must contain noun phrases, a few of them must contain verb phrases analysis, a few of them must contain prepositional analysis, prepositional phrases analysis, and they must also contain adjective phrases. So you are supposed to pick up the examples by your after your own choice, but keeping in view all these conditions, that there must be some sentences of some weightage, that there should be some weightage. It doesn't mean that you will just be writing sentences of just 2 or 3 words. No, you are supposed to write sentences uh, which can easily show your knowledge of the theory of XBAR. So you are supposed to analyze 5 sentences finally, as per rules of the XBAR syntax. Okay, see you later, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.